I bring today a message, and that message is
you forget yourself, puny human.
I think a big reason why so many people are in a doomer mindset is because they don't think their actions have an impact, right? The world is so big and vast. How is one person supposed to make any sort of dent? We tend to forget that every action is like the butterfly effect, right? A butterfly flaps his wings in one part of the world, and in another part of the world it'll create a hurricane.
You know that doesn't actually happen.
Seriously, okay, these meds aren't working anymore. Did I take enough? The chain reaction, no action goes unnoticed. Everything is taken into account. Generally speaking, when we see a certain type of behavior enough, it tends to normalize it in our mind.
Yeah, that's how taboos and atrocities become commonplace.
Yes, thank you, brain demon.
No problem.
If you're ever driving on a highway and there's like a douchebag who's cutting into the merging lane to get ahead of traffic, you would think that that action in itself is relatively harmless. It's just one douchebag, it's not a big deal. But the amount of immense consequences that entail from that are almost immeasurable. First of all, if y'all have seen the Mythbusters episode where literally a guy braking like once can create a whole fucking traffic jam, there's a good chance that that person is saving an extra 30 seconds and creating an extra few minutes of downtime for everyone else behind him. When somebody sees them doing that, they're gonna be, oh, this guy's doing it, so it's okay for me to do it, especially if you see it enough times.
And not to mention that you're agitating, disrespecting, and maybe even ruining the mood of anyone who sees you doing that. And then they'll project their pissy moods onto other people and create a whole slew of exponentially growing pissy people.
And that's the actual origin story of LA traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And so apply that to any other bad behavior. See someone doesn't leave their shopping cart back, more people are more likely to leave their shopping carts in the parking lot. If somebody starts to litter in a particular location, more people are going to be comfortable throwing their garbage on the street or wherever it lands.
Monkey see, monkey do.
And conversely, the more that people around you behave in a way that is good, the more likely you are to follow that behavior. And in this sense, every action you take can have near infinite consequences. You're gonna think it's okay to leave it dirty because it's already dirty. Other people are doing this too. Why should I do any different? If people see a clean spot, or if they see you cleaning up after yourself, they're gonna be more inclined. Maybe they don't even have a malicious intent in the first place, but maybe they just didn't even realize that that's something they had to do, and they go, oh, okay, I should probably clean up after myself too, because this is like a nice spot and I don't want to ruin it. And maybe that's like the start of a good habit where people just clean up after themselves. I'm speaking like it's a hypothetical, but it's something that like I can relate to. Like very similar things have happened in my life, and that's why I'm using them as an example. So last weekend I went snowboarding, and I had my keys in my pocket and my phone in my pocket, and I neglected to zip up my pockets, and I was going down the hill, and I got to the bottom of the hill and I checked my pockets. I'm like, oh, thank God, I still have my phone. And I'm like, imagine if I lost my keys, and I checked my pocket, I'm like, oh fuck, I lost my keys. It was like the middle of a snowstorm. There's no chance anybody was gonna find it. I go to the lost and found. They say, sorry, we don't have anything, but let me take your information just in case. And then 5 minutes later, I get a call, and somebody fucking found my keys. And they said, you gotta pay it forward, okay? Because that is the luckiest shit I've ever seen. And then the next day, I was in the drive-thru to get a coffee. The cashier informed me that the person in front of me paid for my meal. And I was like, wow, I am so fucking lucky. I should buy a fucking lottery ticket. And then, I believe it was that same day, I was doing a bunch of research on a new snowboarding jacket because mine got soaked and it was really uncomfortable and cold the whole time. So I was looking for like a very specific material for a jacket that cost minimum like $300-400. And so I decided, you know, maybe like let me, before I pull the trigger on this $400 jacket, let me go check the thrift store to see if they have anything. Lo and behold, they have a single jacket that is exactly what I was looking for. I'm talking like size, material, color, everything. And I looked it up. This was a $600 jacket that I bought at the thrift store for about $40. I'm like, wow, I should really buy a lottery ticket. But then I remembered what the lost and found lady told me, and that was, you gotta pay this forward. None of what I received was luck. It was acts of kindness from other people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Somebody brought those keys to lost and found. Somebody paid for our meal. Somebody donated their jacket to the thrift store.
And I had this realization. I was like, she's right. I should pay it forward. And like, it inspired me to, next time I go to the drive-thru, I'm going to pay for somebody else's meal. And that makes me feel good. And I think that's a really nice thing to do because it makes somebody's day. And what does it cost me? Like a couple bucks? It's no big deal. And maybe that person who gets their meal paid for thinks, hey, that was pretty cool. I should pay this forward and buy a meal for the next person.
And typically a good mood inspires kindness towards other people. Like we said, actions compound exponentially, both bad and good.
Now, I know that not everyone thinks like that. I think it's just so important to try to be the best and the kindest person you can be. Just mathematically speaking, it's incalculable how important every single one of your actions are. So my prescription is calculated kindness. What do I mean by that? I mean, kindness does not enable bad behavior. So for example, if you see someone cutting through that merging lane to get ahead, you don't let them through just to be nice, because that rewards and enables bad behavior. But if you see someone who just wants to switch lanes and they're minding their own business, be the guy who slows down for them. Just start small. I'm not asking the world out of you. Look, I know I'm giving you homework, but I don't think I'm asking that much, right? Just set the example. You can't force the world to be anything. You can't make it into what you want it to be without changing what's inside you first. You want to reflect that ideal image onto the world with your behavior, because the only thing you truly have control over in this world is how you choose to act. And conveniently, that is the most important thing you could do to change the world, because every single tiny little minute action matters. This brain, everyone's brain, is a lot smarter than we give it credit for. It doesn't miss a single thing, I promise you. We may not process it consciously, but shit stays in here.
Yeah, but not yours though.